All right, good morning, drivers. Hope everybody is doing well today. My name is Jen, and this is my channel, Highway Bound. Thank you so much for joining me. And today we are going to be talking about the big scary T word, tariffs. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons, essentially, of how tariffs are going to be affecting the trucking industry, not only currently, but also in the future. So, grab a cup of coffee, sit back and relax, and let's go ahead and get into the video. All right, so what are tariffs? First of all, let's go ahead and get into kind of economics 101 class real quick before we dive deeper into this subject. Basically, a tariff is a tax on stuff coming into the country. You slap a tariff on something and it gets more expensive. Essentially, the idea is that people will buy American made instead of imported goods. Sounds relatively simple, but 2025 didn't really keep it simple. This year, we've seen a wave of new and reinstated tariffs, especially hitting goods from China, Canada, and Mexico. If a product comes from Canada or Mexico and it doesn't check all of the boxes in the USMCA trade deal, you could be looking at a 25% tariff. Sometimes it can be applied multiple times before it even gets to you. Essentially, what that means is pretty much everything we need to keep trucks rolling, steel, aluminum, engines, transmissions, electronics, and tires, a lot of those parts are made overseas, or at least use some type of overseas materials. Even beyond trucking parts, tariffs are landing on consumer goods, electronics, and building supplies, meaning higher prices at the store. And when the stuff costs more, people buy less, which means fewer loads to haul. That's essentially the tariff squeeze in a nutshell. Your costs go up while freight demand takes a hit. There's going to be three big pressure points currently. We're going to talk about those. So the pressure point number one is skyrocketing operational costs. So this is pretty obvious, so we're going to start with this one first. Parts, maintenance, and new truck prices are climbing. Granted, they have risen quite a bit in the last 2 or 3 years, but they seem to be rising even more at an escalated rate because of the tariffs. The tariffs that are on steel, aluminum, and components mean higher prices, whether you're in the dealership buying new or in the shop replacing a turbo. Are you thinking of buying a new truck? You might want to sit down before looking at the sticker. Analysts say prices could jump around 9%, which is thousands of dollars more than what they are currently. And they're already still pretty high from 2021, 2022. And that's typically for trucks built in America, because the parts still cross borders during assembly, and each crossing risks another tariff. Even if you're not buying new, maintenance costs are creeping up fast. Tires, sensors, engine parts, they're all pricier. Fleets are holding on to trucks longer, which drives up the used market too. And older trucks, they break more often. That's more shop time, more downtime, and more bills. Feels like every cost, including insurance, fuel, and repairs, is heading upward. I would say the second pain point or squeeze point for truckers currently is tariffs make imports more expensive. Obviously, that's what tariffs do. People spend less when that happens, and less spending means less freight moving. We're already in a freight recession currently, too many trucks chasing too few loads, and tariffs could slow recovery even more. Some of the growth we saw at ports earlier this year was just shippers rushing to beat tariff deadlines. Going forward, if prices keep climbing, consumer demand could cool off hard, and small carriers will feel it the most. And last but not least, I have what I like to call the cross-border chaos. If you run freight across the Canadian or Mexican border, you already know, this year has been a headache. Parts and products often cross borders multiple times during production. Now imagine a 25% tariff hitting each crossing. That can kill an entire business model essentially overnight. Even if you never go near a border, the ripple effect can still reach you. A parts shortage in Texas could keep a truck stuck in Ohio at a shop for an extra week. And the rules? Well, they keep changing. Fleets can't plan when they don't know what tariff rates will be next month. Throw in retaliatory tariffs from Canada and Mexico, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger mess in both directions. So those are kind of some of our pain points currently, probably the biggest three that we have. Are there any winners, though? Well, there's a few. The big selling point for tariffs is that they can push companies to bring manufacturing back to the US. And if that happens, trucking could get a long-term boost. If factories come back home, they'll need trucks, obviously, for raw materials, finished goods, and distribution. Billions are already being invested in US-based plants for autos, chips, and green energy. For truckers, that could mean steady domestic work without waiting on overseas shipments or port delays. And it's not just the freight. These factories could bring jobs back to smaller towns, which means more economic activity and more stuff that needs to be moved. Another point here is onshoring changes the map. Instead of everything flowing from ports inward, we could see freight hubs growing in the Midwest and also the South. This could mean fewer long-haul coast-to-coast runs, but more regional and dedicated lanes with predictable schedules. For some drivers, that's more home time without giving up steady work. The key? Be ready to pivot. The carriers that are currently watching these shifts and adapting early could snag some pretty profitable contracts. So, ultimately, who's going to survive and who's going to thrive with the current tariff situation? Are tariffs good or are they bad? And the answer is yes. I mean, honestly, it depends on who you are and how prepared you are to adapt. The ones at the highest risk are small operators running on razor-thin margins. They're already struggling. Honestly, they're not going to be able to take much more. If you're already running razor-thin, it's probably not good for you. On the flip side, the smaller companies that already have really great contracts that are more domestically branded, especially near some of the newer manufacturing hubs that are coming in because of the tariffs, you could be sitting on a future gold mine. So for now, it looks like ultimately volatility is the name of this game currently. Hopefully everything can get kind of wrapped up with the government and we can figure out different deals and negotiations with these different companies. I don't think anybody really truly knows what the actual impact will be in the future, but hopefully, we can get through it. All I can say is the best way that we're going to be able to survive currently is to try and keep your costs as tight as possible. Make sure to watch the trends and be ready to grab opportunities when they pop up. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Are you paying more at the shop? Are you seeing fewer loads? Or maybe you have found new freight lanes opening up in your area and you are banking. I'd really love to hear from you guys. Find out what's going on in your current area or region. So make sure to drop your comments down below. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on trucking news that actually affects your wallet, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Honestly, we're all currently navigating this road together, and the more we share, the smoother the ride will be. Stay safe out there, drivers, and I will see you in the next episode.